Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday evening. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys tonight. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's get straight on into it. On the show tonight, we've got so much to get into. We are going to be talking about Manchester United's budget for the summer transfer window. We'll also be talking about and reacting to a story that apparently INEOS want Marcus Rashford to stay at the club beyond the summer. Also talking a little bit about a story that came out saying that Casemiro is likely to leave Manchester United in the summer. So much to get into. And as always, guys, I love to see what you have to say. So get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. I always read all the comments. I love to see what other Man United fans are feeling about the club. So get involved and let's get straight on into it. So let's start off with this story that just came out from a journalist called Dominic Booth. He reports for The Guardian in the UK. A good journalist, and he's very much focused around Manchester United, this guy. He's had some good stories in the past. He's quite reliable. And he is reporting this evening that there's a strong chance that Casemiro will leave Manchester United this summer and the club will then go into the transfer market for a new holding midfielder. I mean, that's screaming Frankie de Jong, isn't it? That is literally screaming out Frankie de Jong. If we managed to get a decent amount of money for Casemiro, then you have to try and go and sign Frankie de Jong. I know people will be like, not that again, please. But I just think you have to do it. I do. I just think you have to try and get him. Barcelona, as we know, are in a real difficult situation financially. But Frankie de Jong has been talking, and he has said the following. He says, there is a lot of fake news in the press. Some of you should... Let me start again. Fabrizio Romano has said this. Frankie de Jong on recent reports about his plans to leave Barcelona. And this is a direct quote from Frankie de Jong. He says, there is a lot of fake news in the press. Some of you should feel ashamed. This has to stop. People invented numbers of my salary. I'm very happy at Barcelona. I hope to stay here for many years. We know that Frankie loves Barcelona. We know that, him and his girlfriend are very happy there in the Spanish sun. We know that Frankie de Jong doesn't want to come to Manchester in the rain. We know that, it's his dream club and all the rest of it. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this one. Obviously, if Frankie de Jong decides he wants to leave, then we should be in the race to sign him. But as that quote just says, Frankie de Jong doesn't want to leave Barcelona. He's going to do everything he can to stay. So we need to maybe be a little bit more inventive. So let's all have this discussion now. Imagine Casemiro goes in the summer, okay? We're reacting to a story that's just said that there's a strong chance Casemiro will leave Man United in the summer. I personally think he will leave. Not because I don't think he's good enough, but because he's 31. He's just turned 31. He's 32. Wow. I didn't know that. That's completely blown my mind. He's 31 now. Casemiro turns 32 in 3 days. I mean, I'm sorry, but you can't have a 32-year-old at your club on 350 grand a week. Like, that is mad. I know, obviously, people will say, oh, what about Lewandowski? What about Ronaldo? But it's not comparable. Like, it isn't, is it? That's mad. That's honestly blown my mind. That Casemiro is 31 and 32 next week. That's mad. So anyway, he's 32 pretty much, right? He's got 2 years left on his contract at the moment. If Manchester United are going to cash in and get any form of money, they've got to sell him this summer, realistically. They have to. We paid 70 million euros for him from Real Madrid. That was, 2 years ago? Or it would be 2 years ago in the summer. I think if you could get 50 to 70 million euros from a Saudi club, you would have to go and take that. But let me know how much you think Casemiro is worth. And also let me know if Frankie de Jong isn't going to come, which I think is probably unlikely, who would you like to sign in his place? I mean, obviously, there's people like Amadou Onana from Everton. I think he'd be a really, really solid option and somebody that I'd like. There are lots of different targets out there we can look at. Obviously, there's João Neves, who plays for Benfica. He's definitely somebody that I would like to go for. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I would really, really like to know who you guys would like in that centre midfield position, because for me, it's super, super important. It really, really is. Let me know what you think. For me personally, it's difficult. It's a really, really difficult one because I'll be honest with you, right? if we're about to spend 20 million on Dan Ashworth, I want him to go and find some gems for 10, 15 million. If Dan Ashworth comes in and then spends like £100 million on somebody that me or you could have told them, like, are we really getting any value out of Dan Ashworth if that's what he does? Like, I kind of want him to come in and him to go for a midfielder. People are going to laugh at me when I say this, all right? But I want him to be like, right, I found this midfielder in the Championship, or I found this midfielder in the Italian league. Let's go for him. You know, he's 19 years old. He's going to cost us 15 million. Like, something like that would excite me more than Man United blowing our whole transfer budget on one player. So I really hope that that's what we see from Dan Ashworth when he comes into the club. I want to see some more inventive and interesting signings. But let me know what you guys think. You know, do you want just big name profiles? You know, do you want us to be signing the Ossimans, the people like that, or do you want to go for some slightly more interesting names? Fred says, let's hope we just don't waste the whole summer window chasing someone who doesn't want to be here. Obviously talking about Frankie de Jong. Peter says, I'd love to see Kimmich. Afran says, you're talking about top four. Captain Jack Sparrow says, go for Kimmich as well. A couple of people in the chat are saying go for Kimmich. That would be an interesting option. Yeah, I would like Kimmich at Man United. I just think the only issue with Kimmich is his wages. He is on absolutely astronomical wages over at Bayern Munich. He earns 375,000 per week, which is about the same as what Marcus Rashford's on. And I think that we need to start drawing the line in the sand here. We need to stop overpaying on people's contracts. And I think that, you know, giving Kimmich 375 grand a week at the age of 28, that kind of just feels like a Casemiro type signing again. You know, it's signing someone for the next couple of years. It's signing someone who will be world class for 1 or 2 years on a 5-year contract. And then after 1 or 2 years, we're all sat here scratching our heads saying, why did we buy Kimmich? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm saying I want Dan Ashworth to go and identify an 18, 19-year-old who's as good as Kobbie Mainoo, because there will be other players out there, okay, who are as good as Kobbie Mainoo, you know, who have just come for a youth setup in another club and could come in and hit the ground running. Now, I know it feels like Kobbie Mainoo is a 1 in a million. He is, I think, but there is still other people out there, and we need Dan Ashworth to do that for us. We need him to identify young, exciting talent, opposed to just being like, I'm going to sign Kimmich for 100 million euros and give him 375 grand a week. Like, that doesn't really excite me personally. Yeah, it doesn't particularly excite me. Red says, yeah, Kimmich is also 28, 29. Younger players will be better. I agree. Afran says we should keep Pellistri, Rashford and Sancho. Fair enough. George says United can easily sell Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho, Casemiro, Pellistri, and then Martial's contract ends. Yeah, easily. And then you've also got to think about people like Maguire, Lindelof. Like, there's 2 or 3 other people there. Donny van der Beek. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 other names there. Wan-Bissaka. Like, you could easily say, right, in this summer, Wan-Bissaka goes, Greenwood goes, Sancho goes, Casemiro, Pellistri, Varane will probably go. He's not got, I think he's got 1 year left of his contract. Like, yeah, there could easily be 10 players leaving the club this summer. Easy, you know? Captain Jack Sparrow says, it's not only about the money and attitude and mentality. Kimmich is perfect for Man United. I mean, Kimmich is a world-class player, of course, but the point I'm trying to make here is signing Kimmich, who can probably only play at that top level for another 2 or 3 years, giving him a 5-year contract, probably making him the highest paid player at our club, knowing that he probably doesn't even want to come to Manchester United and that he probably wants to stay in Germany. Like, is that really sensible, you know? Do we not want to be going for more hungry, younger players who will come in and give 150% for the club because they're at a different stage in their career where they're still trying to prove themselves? I personally would rather go with that, but obviously everyone's entitled to their opinions, and you know that's the purpose of channels like this, to share different opinions. Right, so we've talked about Casemiro. Let's talk a little bit about Manchester United's budget for the summer window. Now, it seems a little bit strange that people are already talking about this, but the journalist who's put it out is a very reliable journalist, James Ducker. He is the Manchester United correspondent for the Daily and Sunday Telegraph. Very reliable. And he is reporting this afternoon that Man United's first summer transfer budget under Jim Ratcliffe will be severely squeezed because of financial fair play restrictions. And it says it will take an even bigger hit if the club failed to qualify for the Champions League. It says Man United spent $555 million over the last 3 summer windows, When you put that alongside their struggles to raise meaningful funds through sales, this has left Jim Ratcliffe and his INEOS team with little financial headroom as they gear up for their first summer in charge. It says Man United hope to appoint Dan Ashworth as their new sporting director, provided a compensation deal can be struck with Newcastle, and are also now in talks about bringing Southampton's director of football, Jason Wilcox, to the club in a senior recruitment role. It says Man United will be able to make significant deductions for COVID losses, the academy, women's team and community projects. The losses present serious challenges going forward and place significant constraints on what the club can spend. It says one club close source to Ratcliffe said, you can't do it overnight because of financial fair play. And the fact the club has put themselves in a very tough financial position. You can't buy your way out of it. You can't do a city because there's no headroom. You can dress things up, invest in infrastructure. You spend as much as you want on the stadium. But when it comes to the squad, that's going to take time and funding. Clearly, restructuring the squad has to be a key part of your agenda, but you're tied down by financial fair play, so it's a steady process. And you know what? I agree with that, right? I know people will say, oh, it's already begun. Jim Ratcliffe's not spending any money. Like, those days are long gone. Even if Qatar had come in, they still wouldn't be able to spend, the money that people thought they would spend. Obviously, it would have improved our situation a bit because they'd have cleared the debt. But financial fair play is having issues for everybody. Newcastle United have the richest owners in world football, and they're in an absolute mess now. They're going to have to sell some of their best players in the summer because they've got themselves in such a mess financially. So I think it's easy for us to point the finger at Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS and say, oh, well, if it was Qatar, we would have Mbappe, Osimhen, De Jong, Messi, just stupid names. Like, it wouldn't happen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. I think personally, right, the budget will be somewhere between 50 and 100 million plus player sales. But as somebody said in the chat, if you were to sell Mason Greenwood, Sancho, Donny van de Beek, Wan-Bissaka, Pellistri, Casemiro, Varane, Lindelof maybe, Maguire maybe, McTominay maybe, you could easily sell 10 players, I think, across the whole squad. And I think you could easily raise anywhere between 100 and 200 million pounds in sales. Easy. If you add that to a budget of about 50 to 100, you could easily spend 200 to 300 million, I think, this summer. But the key thing for me is buying quality, but quantity. I don't want to see us spending 100 million on a player like Antony. I don't want to see us spending, stupid money on someone like Mason Mount, who was never really going to get in the team. Obviously, we'll wait and see what happens, but yeah. Right, let's talk a little bit about Marcus Rashford then quickly. Everyone who's just joined, smash a like on the video, please. It doesn't cost you any money. It's completely free. It really helps the channel. So please smash a like on the video. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's video. And if this is your first time watching, why not subscribe as well? Again, it doesn't cost you any money. It really helps the channel to grow. So please do go and subscribe if you are new. Right, Marcus Rashford. Let's talk about him quickly. And I will come back to the chat as well in a minute. So if anybody has any questions, any topics they want to talk about, stick them in the chat and I will come back to them in a little bit. So on one side of the coin, you've got some journalists saying that apparently PSG are very, very keen on signing Marcus Rashford in the summer. I think that's believable. I think they'll want a statement signing. And whether you think Marcus Rashford is a statement signing or not, he is. He is a massive player with a massive brand around him, a huge social media following. And I could see him in a PSG shirt. I could. But the headline that we're getting this evening is that apparently Marcus Rashford is understood not to be wanting to leave Manchester United at the moment. And then off the back of that, apparently INEOS don't want Marcus Rashford to leave. Apparently they saw what he did last year. Was it 30 goals in all competitions? They want him to continue that form at Man United, which obviously, if you have a player who's going to score 30 goals every season, then of course, you want that. But it's unrealistic, isn't it? He's not going to do that every season. He's done that 1 year in about 5 or 6 seasons. If you go through Rashford's stats over the past, 6 or 7 years that he's been in the first team, roughly, last season was his best, clearly, right? All the other seasons have been pretty poor. This season, he's got 5 goals in the Premier League in 24 matches. I mean, that's pretty poor. That's a goal every 5 games for somebody who shoots every time he gets the ball. It's not great, is it? Whereas if you compare that to last season, he got 17 goals in 35 matches in the Premier League, which was a goal every other game. I mean, that's amazing. That's great, isn't it? That's, really, really impressive. But if you go to like the season before that, he got 4 goals in the Premier League in 21-22, So he has a stinker. Then he has a great season. Then he has a stinker. He's only had one great season. Even if you go to the season before that, he got 11 goals in 37 matches. What's that? A goal every 4 games, which again it's not great, is it? Really, for an attacking player, like it's not bad, but it's not terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I think with Rashford, if we were to get a big offer for him, I would accept it. People in the chat are saying we could easily get 80 million for him. Apparently, yeah. I mean, the thing is, right? He is only still young. He's only 26, I think, isn't he? Which is young for a footballer. He's still probably got at least 5 or 6 years of playing at the very, very top level. Maybe longer, depending on how well he looks after himself. So I think 80 million probably is a fair price. He's just signed a new contract. He's a massive player with a massive brand around him. So yeah, 80 million sounds about right, I think. 80 million pounds, I think that would be a fair price. I don't think anybody would blink an eye if PSG offered 80 million. Peter says we should sell him to PSG and then go and buy Vinicius Jr. Well, Vinny will play as the left winger for Real Madrid, won't he? And Mbappe will play as a striker. So I don't think Vinny would come to United personally. George says we should go for Xerxes for 20 to 30 million, Zubimendi for 50 to 60 million, Todibo 20 to 30. All of our problem points can be fixed if we get all of these players and spend 100 million. Fair enough. William says it's better to concentrate on young talent and grow with the system the coach desires and reduce signing players because of their names and high wages. It's time to change and move forward. I agree with you, mate. 100%. I 100% agree with you. We've seen Kobe Mainoo, right, come into this side, and he's our best midfielder. He's better than Bruno. He's better than Eriksen. He's better than Amrabat. He's better than Casemiro. I mean, he's clearly better than Mason Mount. He doesn't even play. He's our best player, and he's 18. Without a shadow of a doubt. I would honestly, if someone said to me right now, okay, either Mason, if somebody literally said to me, Kieran, you can either have Bruno Fernandes or Kobe Mainoo. I keep Kobe Mainoo. Without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not even joking. I would, 150%. Like, I honestly, if somebody said, who would you rather leave on a free transfer? Bruno Fernandes or Kobe Mainoo? I'd say Bruno. Without even thinking about it. I would get rid of him. I would. Obviously, Bruno's, a good player with good qualities, but the 15 or so games that we've seen from Kobe Mainoo in a row, he is our best midfielder, without a shadow of a doubt. So I think we need to continue that trend of bringing in young people. Now, I'm not saying that Bruno Fernandes isn't hungry. He works hard, but I just don't think he suits the style of play that Erik ten Hag's trying to do. Whereas Kobe Mainoo does. He's a workhorse. He retains the ball. He does stuff simply, but can also do the fancy stuff as well, which is what we need. Bruno is either play a pass from his own box and try and play Rashford through, he might pull off 1 in 50 times, or that's it. He doesn't do like the little short sideways passes. Robbo says, I do like Bruno, but he gives the ball away too much. Yeah, he does, mate. He does. And it frustrates me. It frustrates the life out of me. Simpson says, Rashford has never scored more than 17 Premier League goals in his entire career in one season. A washed Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 36 scored 18 league goals. Yeah, I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Lumen says, Kieran, this isn't the same Bruno that we bought the first 6 months we had him. Yeah, it's not, mate. Bruno, I don't know what's happened to Bruno. I think he's trying too hard now. And at one point, everything he was doing was turning to gold, but it's just not working at the moment. I think his petulance has been found out by referees. They're not buying it anymore. They're booking him. They're not entertaining it. And I think it's had a negative impact on him. Chris says, everything INEOS has said will be all rubbish if they refuse to sell Rashford. Yeah, that's a fair point. Meal says we need to sell 12 to 25 players in the next 2 years. Yeah, I mean, 25 players would be our whole squad, wouldn't it? I mean, to be fair, whenever people ask me, I would get rid of everybody pretty much, and that's after 4 wins in a row. I'm not going to change my opinion on these players. you know, when we were 10th in the Premier League, I have the same opinion of them as I have now. If we go through the squad really, really quickly, right? The only players that I would 100% keep as of today, and even some of these is a bit debatable, and I'll explain why in a minute. Lisandro Martinez I'd keep. I mean, I'm looking through. Kobe Mainoo I'd keep. Garnacho I'd keep. And Rasmus Højlund I'd keep. Those are genuinely the only 4 that I would keep. I honestly, Martial's obviously going. Diallo, I think, gets a bit of a free pass because he's barely played, so I'm not desperate for him to leave. Anthony, I'd be happy if he went. Rashford, if it was for a good amount of money, I'd be happy if he went. Mason Mount, never should have signed him. Bruno Fernandes, I think he's a world-class player on his day, but if a big offer came in for him, you should definitely get rid of him. Eriksen, past his best, can barely play a half of football. McTominay, I think, is a squad player. Somebody who comes on for the last 10 minutes is effective, but otherwise I'd get rid of him. Amrabat, send him back to Fiorentina. Casemiro, at the age of 32 on 350 grand a week, you've got to sell him, really, don't you? You've got to move him on. You've got to get those wages off your books if we're going to sort out our financial mess. Wan-Bissaka, I quite like Wan-Bissaka, but again, I don't know. Maybe I would keep Dalot, to be fair, actually. So yeah, I'd probably keep Højlund, Garnacho, Dalot, Kobe Mainoo, and Martinez. Luke Shaw, injury prone. Malacia has disappeared. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Johnny Evans? I mean, Johnny Evans, like, arguably could join that list. Like, Johnny Evans has arguably played for a new contract next season. Like, arguably. But yeah, that's my take on it anyway. Let me know what you guys think. Big ups to Fred, who's just gifted 5 memberships for the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Everybody who's got a membership, please do make sure you say thank you to Fred. If you do want to join the Members Club, it really helps support the channel. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to do that now. It's only 99p, so if you're not in a position to do that, then that's completely fine. You know, I'm not, you know, I know times are tough at the moment and people are short on money. So if you are in a position to help support the channel, join the Members Club. It's only 99p, and it really helps, you know, support the channel. So yeah, if you are able to do that, please do. If you're not, then that's completely fine. Don't feel hard done. Don't feel bad about it. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, big ups to Fred. Thank you for your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it, and thank you for gifting those memberships. Meal says we need about 12 to 15 people sold this window and 8 to 12 signings. Yeah, you're right, mate. You are. Ralph Ragnick said it, guys. He said we need open heart surgery. He did. And he was 100% right. George says, you know, after this transfer window, our oldest player could genuinely be Diogo Dalot. Yeah, I mean, he could. I mean, we need to get rid of all of these old people on the big wages. You know, even people like Lindelof, he's 30 this year. Like, he needs to go this summer. Maguire needs to go. Varane's going to be 31 in a month. He needs to go. Willy Campoala, I would keep 100%. He's only 19 and looks good. Luke Shaw, he's 29 this year and he's injury prone. Wan-Bissaka, I think he's been quite a good servant for the club, but I still think he should probably go. Casemiro, 32 in a couple of weeks, got to go. Amrabat, obviously we're not going to keep him. Scott McTominay, I think if an offer comes in, 40 million, you've got to take it. Eriksen, the same. I mean, you're not going to get any money for Eriksen, but I would get rid of him. There's a bit of an interesting story that's just broken the last couple of seconds, actually, which I wanted to talk about before we end tonight's video. And that is about a guy called Rooney. Not Wayne Rooney. It is the Rooney who plays for Copenhagen. Do you remember? He scored the goal against us. I think it was at Copenhagen. He's 18 years of age. Apparently, Manchester United are interested in signing him in the summer. Now, I'll tell you this right now, guys. These are the kind of deals that I want to do. I want us to bring in young talent, 18-year-olds. Like, 18-year-olds, and we can turn them into stars. The moment someone like this joins Manchester United, okay? I'm looking at his following now. He's got 60,000 followers on Instagram. The moment if this Rooney guy joins, yeah, he'll be a star by tomorrow. You know, we can build our own stars at Manchester United. We can build our own Frankie de Jongs. You know, we can build our own Kvaratskhelia from Napoli, like those types of names. You know, all of these players had to come from somewhere. And we need to start doing that. We need to start making our own stars. But yeah, this Rooney guy, He's got 7 goals so far in the is it the Danish league? Yeah, 7 goals in 17 games in the Danish league. He's a right winger, also can play on the left and can also play as a centre forward as well. Would be available for around somewhere to between 10 and 20 million euros. He's got 1 year left of his contract, and apparently he is going to leave Copenhagen this summer. I would go for it. Why not? Why not? Yeah, why not? I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. usual. Do smash a like on the video before you leave, guys. It really helps the channel. Subscribe as well if you're new. Have a great evening, everybody. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.